Hey guys, so the first thing I'm gonna talk about is usually the first thing I do when I start a track, and is the whole groove. I usually start from the percussion. I mean, I have if I have an idea and I want to build a track, I usually start building the whole groove so that I can just lay down a little bit of the arrangement, and the groove gives me the feeling of what the track will be. So I usually start with this, with the percussion and the bass. So percussion is usually come from F expansion. Well, this is still Guru, but now I use Geist. At the time this remix was done, Geist wasn't released yet. I used to have a beta, but yeah, I don't work with betas in the project. So here we go. Just a pretty classic groove. So let's have a listen to the whole Guru thing. And now each and every single channel. And that's it. Of course I program everything. I mean, I hardly use any loop. Probably this one is a loop, I'm not sure. Probably just channel 8. But otherwise I program everything. Everything is one shot. The easy thing with Guru is that you can put all your groove in this grid over here, and then you can simply drag it inside the project, and it'll be written as it'll be read as a MIDI file. So you can program within the plugin and then use what you programmed right in the arrangement, and the same thing you can do with Geist. So that's a pretty cool thing. Then of course we have some other elements, but I usually use the XS24 for that, as I like to have like the main elements on their own. Like for example, some main hi-hat and all that kind of stuff is usually on the XS24. Which is not this the case. Okay, here we go. The ride, then we have the main, the hi-hat. This is like one of my favorite hi-hat. I think it's just it's from an actual 909. I have original 909 recordings, and I think it's from there. Anyway, there's plenty of processing over this hi-hat. So there's SSL EQ, then compressor, so this is actually very compressed, but the mix you can see here, it's very small. So if it would be at 100%, this is how it would sound. So the trick here is having two different. It's like having two different hi-hats. There's one very compressed with a longer tail, and it's mixed with the original one, so it's some kind of a parallel compression. I usually do that on my hi-hat, and actually plenty of producers ask me how do I make my hi-hat sounding the way they do, and yeah, this is usually my trick. So if you want to copy the setting, it's right here. Okay, time to talk about the bass. I changed the position of the camera. I think it looks a little bit better on that side. So the bass, if you know me a little bit, you know that I'm a massive strobe fan, not a massive fan, but a massive strobe fan. But I do love massive anyway. Okay, so here the bass comes from strobe and silent, which is a combination that I often use because silent is such a great synth, and it's really wide, and well, you can make it really wide, and strobe is not that good on the wideness. It is, but I don't know, I find silent to be easier to get in the wide range, and strobe, it's way better when it's in the mono side of when it's in the center. So let's see what's happening on the bass. So let me play the sequence. So the bass are two, and they're playing the exact same sequence. This is strobe, and you can tell that strobe by itself wouldn't make any sense. I mean, it sounds, there's a lot of bass, but there's no sparkle, there's no crunchiness, which is what I usually look for, what I'm usually looking for when I make my bass line. So at this point there's silent coming, and silent is very distorted. And we have some low cut, as the main bass comes from strobe, so we don't really need much of the bass frequencies in this in the silent bass. Then beat crusher, which is what does the magic here. It's all beat crusher. If I bypass, you can tell that there's a big difference. Now sometimes when you do A-B comparing, you can't really tell what's happening. I'm pretty sure you can tell what's happening here. And then some compression from the R bass. In this case, you can't really tell what's happening in the A-B comparison, but there's a subtle kind of compression, even if the compression is pretty heavy, but you can't really tell. So that's it for the bass. No, actually, that's not. So now we have two layers. This is what I always do, like every time, and not just with the bass, but with everything. With leads, with pad, with percussion, with everything, and it's the bussing. So basically, bussing is like grouping a whole bunch of tracks into a single channel. The way that you can set the volume of all these tracks all together, but also you can compress them together, EQ them together, put effects, all that kind of stuff. And this comes very handy, and I really like that this thing because you take a different approach. So you take two different sounds and you treat them as a single sound, which is what makes the trick to me. I mean, the trick of layering tracks is having a sound that doesn't sound like 3, 4, or in this case just 2 layers, and you achieve that by compressing them together, having the same effect on them, or the same kind of delay and reverb. So this is the bass bus channel, and of course another thing is that when you want to like filter the whole layers, you don't have to open a filter on each and every channel, but you can just filter the bass channel. So for example, if I want to put a low cut on both channels, I should open a low cut on the stroke bass and the silent bass. But if I have a bus, I have my EQ on the bus, and all I have to do is it's simply just move one knob, and that's the same for high cut or whatever you want to do. Let's go on and see what's on my bass bus. Well, there's a lot of processing, and probably a lot of this is wrong, but it sounds good to me, so well, whatever. So yeah, we start with the SSL EQ. I really love this EQ. So yeah, there's a little bit of bass on the 50s, then some sparkle over here, a little bit of low cut, just 23 Hz. I usually low cut everything, the kick, the bass as well, but of course just a little bit of low cut, as usually everything below 20, it's quite useless. And then we have the Sonoxis, some more work on the 100 Hz, and a little bit on the 5Ks. This is a great EQ as well. The SSL compressor. Giving a nice slappy. This is another SSL style compressor, but in this case it just works as a sidechainer. So if we bypass it, you can also use the classic Logic compressor. It's if you just have to sidechain, it just works perfect. But sometimes I like to use the glue just to kill my CPU. This is the Sonoxis TBK1, and it's a great filter. Another one, this is the previous one was a low cut, and this is a high cut. And I think that's it for the bass.